Hello everybody, my name is Eliana Benders, your host. Welcome to another edition of Kid Witness News. We have a great video for you today. We hope you enjoy it. Martin Luther King Jr. was an important and inspirational person in American history, so much so that January 18th is his holiday. Let's learn more about it and the importance of Black History Month by Ashley Taffarello.
Black History Month is coming up in February, and what better way to get ready for it than celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day, January 18th. Dr. King was born on January 15, 1929. He was a social activist and Baptist minister who played a key role in the American Civil Rights Movement. In 1948, he went to college, and in 1953, he married. On April 4, 1968, Dr. King was assassinated by James Earl Ray. Even though Martin Luther King Jr. is gone, we will still always remember him and his achievements. Here we are again at the beginning of February. You know what that means? It's Black History Month. Black History Month begins on February 1st and ends on March 1st. It's a celebration of the achievements of African Americans. It's also celebrated in Canada and the United States. This important celebration began with Carter Woodson and Jesse Moreland. They founded the ASALH, Association for the Study of African American Life. The association sponsored National Black History Week in 1926, which later became Black History Month in 1976. What are you going to do to commemorate this Black History Month?
Questions for Miss Eberhard. Why do you think people should celebrate Black History Month and Martin Luther King Jr. Day?
Hello everybody, this is Mrs. Eberhard. I am the advisor to the Black Student Union. I teach U.S. history and African American history, and I am one of the New Jersey Amistad Commissioners on the New Jersey Amistad Commission, and I am the marketing chair. Black History Month should be celebrated as we should celebrate every day within this country. In the celebration of America, it is crucial that we remember the contributions that African Americans have made to the building of this country in every aspect.
Which African American do you think deserves a holiday like Martin Luther King Jr.?
As far as another African American who deserves a holiday like Dr. King, that list is very long. It's a very long list. However, I would like to narrow it down just a little and specifically thank all of the African American soldiers who have fought for the freedoms of this country. In the beginning, before the military was integrated, Black soldiers were segregated and not treated fairly within the military. One situation that I would really like to give my thanks to the soldiers were the soldiers who were involved in the Brownsville affair in Texas in 1908. Over 100 soldiers were discharged from the military because of an accusation that was made, a false accusation that was made. And it wasn't until 1972 when all of those men were given their proper honor and their pensions restored. But by that time, a lot of them had passed away. So if I'm going to choose a group of people to celebrate, I will choose the African American soldier.
How would you recommend people commemorate Black History Month? What is VSU doing to commemorate Black History Month?
People should commemorate Black History Month as you would commemorate every day, in the sense of you are a person who believes in equality, who does not believe in racism, and you also believe in freedom. And so we should all just understand that all of us, black, white, brown, we all are members of this society, of this country, and we are all here to, we should all be here to help each other out and to not hold prejudices against each other and to make assumptions, and that we should treat each other fairly. The Black Student Union is celebrating Black History Month by participating in the annual event with the Weehawken Library. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, everything is virtual. So members of the BSU have read or have done a reading of The Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. That was coordinated by the president of the BSU, Lena Biancamano, and it just looks fabulous. So definitely make sure you check that out. The library will be live streaming the Black History Month event on February the 19th.
Thank you, Ms. Everhard.
Thanks, Astrid. I never knew. Last month, we welcomed the 46th President of the United States, President Joseph R. Biden. It was such a historic event. Let's learn more about it.
Today is January 20th, 2021. You know what that means? It's Inauguration Day. What's Inauguration Day? I'm so glad you asked. The inauguration of the President of the United States is a ceremony to mark the commencement of a new 4-year term of the President. The inauguration takes place for each new presidential term, even if the President is continuing in office for a second term. Since 1937, it has taken place at noon on January 20th, the first day of the new term, about 72 to 78 days after the presidential election. Now, after this, I still had some questions, so I decided to sit down and talk to civics teacher Mr. Campy and ask him some of my other questions. Who officially inaugurates the president?
The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is the one that actually provides the oath of office. So Chief Justice Roberts was the one is the individual that's sworn in I believe past 4 presidents. So President Biden now, President Trump, and President Obama. Past 3, I guess, theoretically. So I believe he's on those past 3. And typically it's the Chief Justice that is in charge of that. That wasn't always the case. If you look, you think back to the assassination of President Kennedy, Lyndon Baines Johnson was the vice president. He was sworn in on a flight back from Texas to DC, and that's the only time that's really ever happened. So he was sworn in, and it wasn't by the Chief Justice in that case. So, but typically that's who is responsible for it.
Like, do they take an oath, or do they have to do something else?
So typically the process it's pretty straightforward. The vice president takes the oath of office first, and then the president follows, and it's really like 35 words, I believe, where they typically use a Bible. That's varied also with presidents. Not every president's touched a Bible. Not every president's used the same Bible. President Trump and President Obama actually both used Lincoln's Bible when they took the oath and they were inaugurated. I believe that President Biden today used a family Bible. Sometimes they touch it, sometimes they don't touch it, sometimes they raise their hand. Most of the time they always raise their hand, but whether they touch the Bible is always not been done if you look at past inaugurations.
And why is the Inauguration Day so important? Like, why do we mainly have it?
So it's really seen as democracy at work. You have an individual that was in charge of, a democratic nation, seen as the most prolific democratic nation in the world, stepping down peacefully. and then having a new individual come in. Now, unfortunately, we've talked about this stuff in class, but this wasn't necessarily a peaceful transfer of power, and there was a lot of unfortunate circumstances that followed due to some of the fervor that was brought up, I think, by President Trump, and going into from thinking back to the election and the false accusations of it being fraudulent, and then moving forward to Biden taking over, and obviously leading to the Capitol riots from January 6th. So this is a volatile time, but it's something that has, it's been 2 weeks, and it's something that people will not forget, but also democracy is still moving forward, and there's a new president that has taken the White House, and it's up to that individual and to lead the country in the right direction and move on. And always, right, we want the president to succeed no matter where you fall on party lines. So it's something that is important for every American to keep an eye on, and to make sure that we hold our leaders accountable for their actions, and they represent the people.
Are there more than one people who kind of get inaugurated other than just the president?
Yeah, so the vice president does as well, and Kamala Harris, obviously the first female vice president, first black vice president, first Asian American vice president. So very big deal for that to have taken place. And typically the vice president, yes, goes first, and then the president follows suit.
Thanks, Lauren. That was great. Do you know what this Sunday is? That's right, it's Valentine's Day. And our very own Olivia Fanders is going to tell us a little bit more about this wonderful holiday.
February 14th is Valentine's Day, a day of love and happiness. But how did this wonderful day come about, and why? Well, it started out as a Western Christian feast day, signifying when Saint Valentine restored vision to his jailer's daughter while he was in prison. This story eventually became a story of love when an 18th century version of the story claims that Saint Valentine wrote a goodbye letter to the jailer's daughter, signed Your Valentine. But the day was associated with love since the 14th and 15th centuries. Today, people often give chocolates and flowers to those they love on Valentine's Day. It's become a day that people cherish when it comes around each year. Now, it's not just about Saint Valentine. It's about love.
Nice job, Olivia. Really looking forward to that day. Now let's take a look at a cooking segment from one of the seniors at our high school.
Hello everyone, my name is Ivana Sanchez, and today we're going to be making some apple pie oatmeal cookies. This recipe is directly inspired by Amy's healthy baking vlog, where she made the cookies herself, except we're going to use a few modifications. We are not going to use agave syrup, but instead honey. And on top of that, we do not have a red apple, but we do have a green apple. So with that being said, let's go on to the ingredients.
A room temperature egg, ground cinnamon, instant oats, all natural honey, vanilla extract, salt, flour, baking powder, melted butter, measuring spoons and cups, a big bowl and a whisk, smaller bowl and a spatula, and your apples. Now that we have our ingredients together, it's time to start mixing. So now that we're over here, we're going to be wanting to use our medium bowl and our spatula for our dry ingredients. Pre-measure 1 cup of instant oats and put it right into your bowl.
Next, you're going to want to add 3/4 of a cup of flour, and this should be measured correctly, meaning although you can eye it with a cup, it's probably best advised to use 1/4 of a cup 3 times. So that way everything's level, and you're making sure to get the exact amount. Next, we're going to want to use 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. I personally prefer to do this using a 1/2 teaspoon 3 times, but you could do this any way you prefer. Again, make sure that you are leveling all your ingredients, making sure they are fit properly. Any excess could create a difference in the recipe, and you wouldn't want that to happen. And so we're adding in our final teaspoon, well, 1/2 teaspoon for that matter. And together those 3 add up to 1.5. Then we're going to want to have 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. Again, I lightly rinsed off the 1/2 teaspoon, and we'll be using the same 3 to make sure we get the right amount. Next, we're going to need a dash of salt. We are using Morton's unionized salt, and 1/8 of a teaspoon could be a weird amount. I personally only have 1/4, and so we're going to put half of that full, and that will be our 1/8. And that'll be all our dry ingredients. So now you're just going to want to mix it in the bowl as such. You can either whisk this or use a spatula as I am doing, and make sure you get out any lumps and that it is thoroughly put together.
The time has now come to put together our wet ingredients.
Then you're going to want to add in your 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And then you're going to want to have your egg, which should be at room temperature. If you're not able to do so, run it over some hot water and it should be able to warm down. And next we're going to be using 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, pouring it right in. And then of course you can't forget your agave or honey. Maple syrup also works, but for me, we're using honey. Now with our 1/2 cup of honey, we're going to be placing it right in. And of course, making sure nothing sticks to the side. Now that we have all our wet ingredients in one bowl, we're gonna once again incorporate everything. For this, I would prefer whisk, and you could either hand whisk this, or you can always choose to use a KitchenAid, whatever you see fit. And now it's time to combine our wet ingredients with our dry ingredients. Since we use a medium-sized bowl for the dry, we're just going to put it right into the bigger bowl. And then we're going to mix well until incorporated. At last, it's time to add in our favorite ingredients, diced apples. Remember, 1 cup of the diced apples, or just about 1 large apple. After you folded your apples in, your batter should look something like this. And now it's time to chill it for about 30 minutes in the refrigerator. So as I mentioned before, this recipe is simple, quick, and easy, which is why I love it so much. And also because it's healthy, it's very mindful of its ingredients, and for anybody in the family to enjoy, since you can substitute whatever they're allergic to and have fun with it. But given its quick timing, we do want to preheat our oven to Now that we're back from chilling our batter, we should have this. We have put it into a metal bowl to ease with the chilling. And now we're going to be using a tablespoon to take about 15 rounded balls, putting them onto our parchment paper lined sheet. Now that we have all our cookies ready and flattened out onto our baking sheet, we're going to be putting them in the oven for 13 to 15 minutes. About 13 to 15 minutes have passed, it is time to take our cookies out the oven.
Let this rest for about 10 minutes before transferring everything over to the cooling rack.
And voila! Our cookies are done. You may dig in as long as they're a nice temperature, and I hope you guys enjoy. Take care!
Great job, Ivana. Those cookies look delicious. What types of things are you willing to do for your community? Let's look at Angelica's best.
Number 1. Recycling. As we all know, recycling reduces the amount of waste that goes into landfills, saves energy, and prevents pollution. Number 2. Be kind to a neighbor. Being kind is super important, especially nowadays because of COVID-19. Although we may not be able to physically be nice to someone, we can always do it through our devices. so make sure to spread love, not COVID. Number 3, wear a mask. I'm sure we all want to go back to how our lives used to be, when we didn't have to worry about COVID-19, and we could all see each other again in person. But we must take the correct precautions to be able to slow the spread of COVID-19. One of those things is to wear a mask and keep a distance. So make sure you do those things. It will not only benefit you and other people around you, but our town as a whole. Lastly, pick up after your dog. The final huge thing you can do to help Weehawken is to pick up after your dog's waste. Dog waste can spread disease to other dogs and even other humans. Dog waste can carry pathogens into water that can make people sick.
Thanks, Angelica. Very inspirational. Now Manasi had to sit down with one of Weehawken's very own filmmakers. Let's check it out.
So, who are you and how did you get into filmmaking?
Hi, my name is Hemal Trivedi and I have been editing and directing documentary films for the past 15 years. My editing work has won an Academy Award, 7 Emmy nominations, and it has won 4 Emmys. I have won an Emmy in Outstanding Editing. I have produced and edited films for various outlets including Netflix, Amazon, PBS, CNN, BBC, HBO, and several others.
I know you've done filmmaking workshops before, so tell us about them.
Besides making documentary films, I also do a lot of filmmaking workshops. I have done 48-hour workshops or a week-long workshop for college kids, for master's students, and for high school kids. And but I've never done a filmmaking workshop for 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds.
So, how did you come up with the idea of starting this workshop?
This summer, we all were trapped in our homes. Last summer, we were all trapped in our homes because of COVID, and our kids had very few opportunities for social interactions. So 7 moms from Weehawken, we got together and we decided that we should create opportunities for our kids to socialize and to have social engagements in a meaningful way. So what we did is we decided to barter our skills and start various clubs. So, some moms started baking clubs, hiking clubs, some moms started a book club, an art club, and I started filmmaking club because that's my skill.
So, how is it conducted and how long did it take?
Now, I had never done filmmaking workshop for kids who are 8-year-olds and 9-year-olds. And I didn't know what to do about it. So the first step for me was to adapt my curriculum to their level. So I really simplified the curriculum, and I split the kids into 2 groups. So we had 8 kids all together. So I split them into groups of 2 groups of 4 each, and I requested 2 high school kids from Weehawken to volunteer. Rahi and Manaswi, 2 high school kids, very beautiful. They did a beautiful job of mentoring these kids, and they did a beautiful job of making sure that the workshop is conducted flawlessly. And the next thing that I did was I made sure that every child gets an opportunity to tell his or her own story, because it was very important for me that at this young age the kids learn how to express themselves freely and how to express themselves articulately. So we made 8 films all together, and each of these films were 2 minutes long. I also wanted to make sure that the kids do not get bogged down by technology, because it's very easy to lose focus and worry about cameras and tripods and editing software and forget the whole reason why we are doing this, which is for the kids to come out of their shells and for the kids to explore themselves and understand themselves. So I really simplified the technology that we were using for filmmaking. So I made sure that things were shot on, smartphones, which are easily available, and we used basic tripods, and we also used some very basic editing software. We used iMovie on iPads because iMovie is very intuitive, it's very easy to learn, and the learning curve is about a day. And that's how we took the technological barriers out of this equation. Otherwise, the kids would have not been able to learn. And we also made sure that we made the workshops fun, because kids have a very small attention span. So in each workshop, we made sure that there are opportunities to go out of the house and explore and do different, each kid had an opportunity to play different roles. Like they could, they had an opportunity to act and shoot and sound record. And that way the kids worked independently, but they also worked collaboratively. Besides that, I really wanted to make sure that the stories that the kids tell are simple, because you cannot have very complicated stories in 2 minutes. So the stories had to be like one topic, one conflict, one resolution, and it had to be personal. So those were some of the ground rules that I had laid, and we all the kids adopted very well. It was magical because all the kids just adapted. They, the high school kids helped them. They helped them polish their. The high school kids helped them with polishing their ideas, with crystallizing their stories, and it was wonderful.
What type of videos did the kids end up making? How did you feel about the end result?
So kids came up with beautiful stories, and these were very beautiful, small, simple, and personal stories about fun and joyous things that the kids did over the summer. And the results were amazing. We had a little film festival where we showed the films of the kids, and we gave them out little trophies, and so they were encouraged.
My parents told me that we were moving. At first, I was so excited because they told me there were pools, library, a playground, and tennis courts, and a bus stop that was inside the building. And there was also a basketball court. So I was so excited. Then I realized that what if the teachers were really strict? What if they gave me a lot of homework? What if the friends I had in Weehawken wouldn't be friends with me anymore? What if I didn't make any new friends in Secaucus like I have so many friends over here? Then I got so nervous. I started thinking about it a lot. Then I talked to my friend Erica, and she said just because you're moving to a different town doesn't mean we're still not going to be friends with you. You'll always be my friend, and if they don't, I will still. Erica, just because I'm moving doesn't mean you're still not going to be my friend, right? We are going to be friends forever. I'll never forget you, Anya. Then that made me realize that just because I'm moving somewhere else doesn't mean that I'm not going to make new friends. So then I started getting comfortable. I still missed my friends in Weehawken, but they were still my friends.
Are there any plans for the future?
Going forward, I want to do another workshop with the same group of kids, or maybe other group of kids, but I want to get into further details, and I want to start doing workshops about genres. Like I want to get into factual programming, and then I want to get into historical programming and see what kids come up with. But that is in the future.
Great interview, Manasvi. Winter sports are here and ready to roll. Here's Aria and Sebastian with the Weehawken Sports Update.
Hi everyone, I'm Sebastian Stratton and I'm here to update you on WHS Sports. The bowling season is up and running and is doing well. The third season of sports, which includes wrestling and volleyball, will begin on March 1st, so be sure to email Mr. DeStefano if you are interested in playing either of them.
Boys and girls basketball is running very well considering COVID. As of now, the boys varsity has a record of 5-2 and the girls at 2-3. All of the home games on the varsity, JV, and freshman teams are streamed on the YouTube channel WHS Events by us, so make sure to tune in.
Great report, Aria and Sebastian. We all love dogs, right? Well then you're gonna love this. Last but not least, District Dogs! Thank you for watching, everyone. We hope you enjoyed it. And for everyone on the Kid with a Snooze team, I'm Eliana Fenders. See you next time.